I think my camera's shaking. Okay. Here is my story of how I got introduced to essential oils and how I fell in love with them. In 2014, I had just finished a 2-year program to become a licensed paralegal. I went to school full-time while I was on a 2-year maternity leave after I had my youngest son, Micah. And I had just returned to work. I had passed my licensing exam with the Law Society of Upper Canada. I had received a job promotion and a pay raise, and I got a new job doing basically something more legal related than what I was doing before, because before I was like a secretary for a dental program, so that was not related to law at all. So I worked with a branch of the government recovering basically fraudulent activity for the welfare system. And I really enjoyed the job, and I was super excited that I was finally doing something more along the lines of what I had gone to school for. When I finally got my licensing exam in March, and a month later, I got really sick, and I was at work, and I was having really embarrassing accidents. My entire digestive system would liquefy, and I would have to leave work. And I went to my family doctor, and my family doctor started treating me for diverculitis, and he put me on a prescription for that. For those who don't know, diverculitis is like a digestive disorder that usually occurs in the elderly. It's not something that a young, healthy population would have generally. So, although there are a few people who have digestive disorders that might have it at a younger age. So, after I had started taking the diverculitis antibiotics, I ended up in the Emerge at the hospital in excruciating pain. The Emerge doctor took me off the diverculitis. My doctor started running tests, so I had to submit a blood sample and a stool sample. The stool sample came back clear. Then he sent me back for 3 different specialists. I went to see 3 different GI specialists I had 2 colonoscopies done and a gastroscopy, which all came back with nothing. Then I went for an MRI. That came back with nothing. I consulted with a homeopath who put me on some enzymes to help with digestion, and the enzymes made me really sick. I went to a naturopath who suggested that I take Slippery Elm. Slippery Elm actually did relieve some of my pain, but I still had a lot of digestive issues. I was working with a holistic nutritionist about the food that I was eating. So at this point, I was eating vegetarian. So I was still eating dairy, mostly just cheeses, not milk itself, and not even that much really. I was mostly eating vegan. And I was still having all kinds of digestive issues, so my diet was relatively clean, and I shouldn't have been having problems. So eventually my doctor gave up on me. My doctor basically said to me, I have sent you for all kinds of tests, and every time he sent me for a test, he put me on a new prescription. So he put me on a prescription for increased stomach acids. So these are called, I think they're called PPSIs, and what they do, and I might have that acronym wrong, but basically what it does is it lowers the stomach acid in your stomach. And I had been on something like this for years before, and this time when they had put it on me, when I had gone off it when I got pregnant with my children, so this time when they put me on it, I broke out in like head to toe hives, and I went to the hospital, and the doctor at the hospital referred me for an endocrinologist, and the endocrinologist told me that I needed to work more with my family doctor, so that failed. Then my family doctor sent me to the psychiatrist at the hospital, because after 3-4 months of testing, he was getting nowhere. At this point, my income was severely compromised because I had been on a sick leave that I had exhausted through work, and I had to pull my kids out of daycare, only I couldn't take care of my kids. So we had to keep them in and just, juggle our bills. I basically laid in bed all day being really sick. I couldn't leave my bedroom because I needed to be as close to a toilet as possible. I had accidents just trying to get to doctor's appointments. So when my doctor finally referred me to the hospital to go talk to a psychiatrist, I thought, well, I don't think I'm crazy, but hey, why not, right? So I went into the hospital to talk to a psychiatrist, and he did a full-out assessment, and basically he said to me, well, you're just a little bit crazy, nothing too abnormal, so that wasn't too bad. But it turns out that everything that I was experiencing was very real. It wasn't in my head. I started going to a bit of counseling to see if I had actually any psychological issues that would be contributing to a physical condition. It turns out that nothing that was happening to me physically really was a result of anything mentally that they could tell. And so my family was forced to sell our family home because we couldn't afford to live in our first home that we bought when we got married, and we had raised 2 of our children from birth there. So we were forced out of our home, and we moved north to buy a cheaper home and pay off our debts. We had to set up our lives to live off one income. And eventually my employer, my sick leave tapped out about 6 months later. And I had to change family doctors because my doctor refused to put me on any more sick leaves. He refused to do any more tests, and he was convinced that it was in my head despite a report from a psychiatrist that said it wasn't. So I had to get rid of my family doctor, and I was on a wait list to obtain a new family doctor. And they're not readily available in Ontario, as you may or may not be aware of. So for several months, I was waiting to get a hold of a family doctor, and my employer finally called and said, you have to come back to work or you're going to get fired. And so I had to sit through a long meeting with the management and HR groups, and in my union rep because I was in a union. And basically it was decided that it was best off for me to resign from my job so that it didn't affect my reference on a negative way, so I could still obtain a positive reference. And so I was forced to resign from my job that I had for 8 years because my employer didn't trust me enough without medical documentation that I was actually too sick to be at work. And so after about a month after that happened, Ashley, my upline, reached out to me. I think I had completed a survey or something that she had put online, and I had been following her on and off because I've always been interested in the natural health world. It's something that I've been doing probably for about 12 years now, but I haven't dived into it as deep as I have recently. So I had a lot of experience with a lot of the stuff that Ashley had already posted, but I was genuinely interested because she always had little tidbits of new stuff that I would learn. And so I answered her survey, and she reached out to me and offered me some samples for essential oils. And so I gave her a list of things that my family was going through, and she sent me these 5 little vials. And I got the envelope in the mail, and like most people, I was very skeptical because I thought, if all these medical doctors couldn't help me, nobody psychologically could help me. Nobody naturally was helping me. My naturopath, my homeopath, previous advice I got from a holistic nutritionist wasn't helping. And so how could any of these tiny little bottles of essential oils do anything for me? And so Ashley contacted me because I got this envelope in the mail, and I stuck it on my bedside table. I read her letter, and then I didn't touch it again. And she contacts me a week later, and she's like, so did you get the samples? And I'm like, oh yeah, I got them. And, I read it. I just haven't tried it yet. And, me being in bed in pain, not able to take care of my kids. They were late for school every day, barely able to get up and shower or feed myself. You think that my mind would open up a little bit about essential oils, but I wasn't quite there yet. And so Ashley kind of reaching out and sort of pushing me in the direction of just give them a try, I finally did. And so I opened up a bottle of the Digescend, and I rubbed that on. I typically get liver attacks. I don't have a gallbladder. It was removed when I was pregnant with my second son. And I rubbed that on there, and instantly, to my surprise, I had instant relief. And I thought, holy cow, maybe I really am crazy. I should go back to see that psychiatrist. Well, so I waited because I thought, that's a little weird. And I wouldn't take it again, but then I thought, okay, I'll try the other oils on my family. So I tried vetiver for my husband's anxiety. I tried Balance to help my son Micah sleep, which actually worked. Micah went to sleep, and my husband calmed down from vetiver, so that was amazing. And finally, so I tried it again. And she sent me an allergy blend, which worked amazing, and it smelled amazing. I love the allergy blend. And I tried the Digestin again, and I had instant relief. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. So, but I was still skeptical because I wasn't a fan of being committed to one company. And this is the part where I had to open my mind up to doTERRA. I don't have anything against network marketing companies, but it felt a bit at first like maybe the brand loyalty had more to do with an income than it did with the actual quality of the product itself. And I didn't quite understand that connection. And so I spent a year and a half going through an entire pregnancy, having a baby that was colic and everything else, severely colic. My daughter is the fussiest baby I have ever had. I have 4 kids. And I tried every essential oil brand that you could think of because I have always trusted my health shop. So I would go to the health shop and I would buy whatever brands they had. And first I started buying them cheap, but then I noticed that the cheap oils weren't that great. And so I started buying the expensive oils. And some of them were comparable, I'll say. Like, I'm not going to say every company is terrible. There are companies that have pure oils out there. But what I could get from doTERRA, I could not match. There was nothing that I could match. And finally, in April of 2016, one night I was sitting and I was thinking about it, and I had hummed and hawed and thought about this for over a year and a half now, and I just finally said, you know what? And Ashley had sent me the info to enroll like a year and a half earlier, and I went back through all my Facebook messages and copy and pasted it into a Word document and went through it, and I registered, and I signed up as a wellness advocate, and I ordered a family physician kit. And I'll have to say, since that day, my life has changed amazingly. I have recovered. I did recover thanks to Ashley from my digestive issues. My year and a half journey on the essential oil bit, I can tell you effectively that I maybe have 1 or 2 issues a year with my digestion that are just like flare-ups, and I know how to monitor them now, and I use essential oils as a tool to do that. My daughter sleeps. Oh my gosh, my daughter sleeps. I should have bought the oils long before she was ever born. I don't get heartburn anymore, ever. And trust me, I was that girl that was popping Zantac and Tums and all that garbage for my lifetime, basically. My son Micah sleeps. He used to wander all over my house, midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's scary because we're all sleeping. He sleeps. My son Aiden, he's a sleepwalker and a bedwetter, and so is my oldest son Dimitri. We created a blend with essential oils. Guess what? He doesn't pee the bed, and he doesn't sleepwalk. So these oils are amazing, and this is something that I have to share it. I have to share it with the world. And so I hope that you'll take my story, and I hope that you'll take your samples, or you'll at least have the opportunity to purchase your own kit and learn and experience all the amazing benefits that I have. Because I promise you, what you think is just something simple as a little plant has a whole life-changing component to it. Okay? If there's any questions or comments, let me know. Take care. Bye.